In today's video, I'll be telling you about my Deja Vou, and I'll be telling you more about the encounter with Tomek Oleksiv, my 2 encounters with Tomek, and my encounter with my fortune teller. So we go with the next parts of Piglet, and if that's something for you, then stay tuned. So I start with a little bit of a story because I used to live in a place that was always exposed to the wall. I don't know if I will manage to make a quick drawing for you, but the entry door was from the balcony side, and the balcony was facing the wall, and at the top of that wall there was a monastery. So we have this cathedral from the 14th century of Saint Virgin Mary, and I thought at the beginning when writing Piglet, I thought it was about the wall, but I think it was about a monastery. The monastery was... Oh, that's not the best picture ever. Maybe I will not show it. But the wall was enormous because, the wall was up here, and here you have 2 balconies. So we're on the lower balcony, and here is the end of the wall, and here's the monastery, and there was this little fence, so to say. So I need to come up with a better drawing, that's for sure. Okay. So the wall. What was I used to doing? I used to spend a lot of time in the balcony and facing the wall, and I used to spend a lot of time in the tenant house. One time I decided to even clean it a little bit, this area when you have this thing to keep your hand. Okay, so even when I was in the tenant house, I used to sit on the window, and there was one broken window in it. And through that broken window, I could see yet again the green wall, and even there was one tree coming out of that wall. So actually it was very picturesque, and as I was the one who was supposed to know and discover witchcraft as a person who was hypnotized, then I think a lot of the times, people would just be happy if I played on my own or be in the tenant house. That's it. So even when standing and singing, in that tenant house, which happened a lot of the times for me, then I was looking at the wall through those windows. Yeah. So, basically, I went to visit Tomek Oleksiv, who is a famous climber in Tarnów, and probably all around the world too. And I visited him with my best friend, and sometime later I supposedly developed this asthma, but I didn't believe it. So although asthma might have been easier in timeline, but still after visiting climbing class, so he left us to deal with the rope on our own, and I started to be scared over myself and over Kashica, my best friend. And when I was supposed to, take care of her and be her assistant with the rope when she was climbing, she was on my responsibility when she wanted to go down. So when she was going down, I was like, take care of the rope, take care of the rope, and looking at Tomek like, yeah. And when I was climbing the wall, it was the very first time in my entire life when I could climb such a high wall. So he took us on that wall. And when I was climbing, I had this thought in my mind, like, butt to the wall, butt to the wall. And, in my book, I write about it in this way, that I gained experience with my butt, and now I have to control, I have learned to control my own butt. And just when climbing, sometimes I would have those thoughts like, this stone is mischievous and this stone is suspicious too, because it looked good and steady, and when I touch it, it turned out not to be that way. So, I got stuck on the wall and didn't know what to do. So I just changed the position of my legs. So I had to hang on my hands and try to find the stones. So there was a lot of like physical work, a lot of moving, not knowing where to go, and on the way just checking the options, checking what's available out there. So yeah. And I remember in one moment I just look at him, I look at Tomek, and I thought, oh, it's you thought you did this. You put those stones, that road in that way, so that it's impossible to go that road. Yeah, and finally, when I was very close, I was very close to the ceiling, and I had to jump on the stone, and I somehow fell off the stone, and I wanted to, still continue. So when he was taking me down, I was really, really angry with him. So when my best friend went on the wall, then we just quickly discussed like what she could do and so on, where to put her legs, and then I was going on the wall again. And, also you would turn around and look around at them when I needed some, guidance, because I had this assumption that they had to know better, because they stood from a greater distance from the wall. Then you see all the paths possible. When you're in it, then probably you don't see all the paths that well. And yet again, I probably had to change the positions of my legs, and I jumped, and I jumped on the stone, and I had to do something which was very, very much unusual for me, because I was hanging just on my hands, and then I had to, with my entire body, just lift up my body, and it worked. And I might have been a little bit surprised that I was that strong, because I knew that when it comes to climbing, my legs were always much better and much more flexible. And Kashita was the one that didn't move her legs, and I could move my legs and explore the area. And I didn't work that much with hands, because my hands were always weaker. So when I got down, I was like, yeah, but for the practice in Greece, when I was just walking with so many plates in one hand, and sometimes I would approach the trolley, and there was somebody, dealing with the plates, and I would have to keep the plates a little bit longer. And then I was like, oh, I will break them in a minute. Actually, I broke glasses in Greece, yeah, when I was a waitress in Greece. Now I understand why. They were glasses, not plates, for example. So when also when leaving the place, I was wondering, like, did we pay enough? Because I had an impression, like everybody else left, and I had an impression that that he stayed for us much longer. And there was a moment when he was climbing with no rope at all, but he's a professional climber. But when I saw him hanging like that on the wall that looked like a ceiling, I was like, I was like all the time scared over there, except with the moments when I was actually climbing that the highest wall ever in my life. So that was a peculiar experience for me, where it looked like, somebody asked a question and I was just acting out something in my life. And I remember when we arrived with Kashica, we also saw a woman who was pretty much similar to her. She was like, 1-to-1 when it comes to face, because she was much taller, but her face, her big round eyes, there may be some differences in the shape of their eyes, but they were, big eyes. They seem to have the same color of the skin. Their skin looked tanned. And they seem to have the same shape of the hand, built hand in the same way. But that friend of Tomek was very, very tall and very beautiful, because Kashica is beautiful. So when it comes to Tomek himself, it was like a lot of, let me see, there was a lot in him. It was about his, his height, his body type, and the way his muscles were built, the shape of the hand yet again. That was very identical to my brother, and the entire body posture identical with my brother. And even, maybe some tendency to sometimes show veins on your body. So I would say they would have veins showing up on arms in a similar way. Like I have that tendency too, but I think I have it more in my hands other than elsewhere. Although here you can see a little bit, but later it's like clean skin. Yeah, and they used to even wear the same types of clothes. So when my brother was a teenager, he used to wear that sleeveless type of a shirt, t-shirt, and the same type of shorts. Today's the day. Okay, so I told you about this one. Yeah, and climbing. And then some other time, Tomek came to me to give me an interview. And he told me with my very first question that this question sucked. When he saw this question sucked. And I was like, but why? I had this memory of Tomek coming back to me for like 2 weeks. Yeah. So at the beginning, I thought it was about he was checking if I would eat his value, and therefore he was just checking how would I act. Then I thought he was actually checking how would I handle with the topic of somebody else eating my value. Yeah, but in that moment, I was actually ready to remove the question. If the question was bad for someone, then I could remove the question. Because when I interview somebody, then they give me almost the entire text. They deliver it, right? So it's not that important when they don't like a question. Yeah. So I think he was also checking my topic, like the issues with expressing, with speaking, with remembering, with processing information. So the way I approached the topic, the interview itself, was that I prepared the questions in advance and I tried to put them as if in a chronological order in a consistent story. And in that way, I was trying to, if anything, because my approach was I probably wouldn't make it in a spontaneous way, like conducting the conversation like I used to do in the past, freely, easily, naturally, with no issues and no problems. So, that internal dialogue I had in front of him. So, yeah, that I have prepared questions, and I even asked my sister for help. And I always send questions to people who I interviewed because, it's up to them. If they want to be prepared, they can be prepared. And if somebody, because most of the people probably have some level of stress when it comes to public speaking, right? You never know what the journalists have in mind when it comes to presenting your viewpoints. So I think it's just the fair way to go about it, to give people the chance to be prepared, because I don't like people when they are not prepared. It happens. um, just I wanted my articles to have some quality, so definitely I would give everybody a chance to reduce stress and to be prepared. Yeah, which is yeah, but okay. So I told you about the appearance, how he looked. And my impression was that Tomek was checking Ferrer, and my impression was that Tomek had totally extrasensory perception developed. So there was one moment when he was looking at the wall, and he was looking as if at the sofa, and he was looking at it as if at something. So I look at that something, and then back at him, and now it's in my head, like like what is he looking at? So a question appeared in my mind if I was going to write that Tomek went mad, and I totally was not, because just the fact that somebody looked at something didn't mean anything. Plus, it's not interesting to the reader at all. It's just stupid. Because you can always misinterpret something, right? Like I did with Vision. So I'm sorry, Vision, and Regan. I'll get back to that problem. No, it's not. Yeah, sure. I want it to be right, but I can always be wrong, and I can always apologize. So I do apologize. And I will clarify in the book. Um, yes, if I would write about it. Um, so I was in my head going with the answer, like, no, I wouldn't write about it. But, there was one more moment when Tomek actually kind of channeled me, and he's got green eyes. He's got green eyes. So so I saw it, and then you see something, you don't believe it, you don't know what it is, you don't know what is it about, you just know it looks the way it does, and you try to bring what you saw to the subject that makes some sense, to some interpretation that makes sense. So did I. So I thought, drags? No, sorry, it's a fly. So it definitely was not that, but that was some type of reasoning for me for a moment in time. And it was when I had this deja vu, when years later I had my Ivanka coming around, and she looked at the wall and the table, and there was no one there. And I did the same thing, like look at her and look at where was she looking. And I got back at her, and I had a sense, the same feeling, that there was something in there that she was looking at, and I just couldn't see it. Uh, mm-hmm. And then with the second meeting, she was kind of doing the same, like channeling me, and I thought, like, oh, okay, what's that? So yeah, that was my deja vu, definitely. And my entire impression was that she went to a given school connected with math, to a given high school, just to be closer, just to be around and at service. And my entire impression of her personality is that she's a very warm, beautiful person, and that just maths doesn't fit her, that kids fit her perfectly. Yeah, so that's my impression. um that people, the Jewish people who were in my environment, were doing it under the cover of something, like coming around and being interested in you, but coming around with and being surrounded with a group of girls, or coming around not just like at the party and asking for a date, but being a ticket inspector that makes you so scared, and there's time pressure on you, and the train that is going to leave soon, and the financial punishment for the tickets is brewing in my mind, that if I don't find this ticket, then, and if he's going to get angry with me and he will not wait, and then there are people walking around. So it was all there because I was going through that content of the book a lot of the times. So my experience shows me that those people, like Gypsy too, but I can tell you the difference straight away between the Gypsy and the Jewish people. Like the difference between those, angry manifestors on Krakowska Street and just a group of men who were Jewish men, where I was walking with the big briefcase and I tried to not to make anyone, hurt with it. And at the same time, I was curious about them. So it was nice, and it was with mutual balance energy, with no other intention, hidden agenda in it. And when it comes to Gypsy, they just take you of this piggy back horse over here, and they just give you some icky feeling so that you feel weird. Yeah, and the reason why I tell you they come with under the cover is because Ivana told me that with her fortune telling, that I would break my legs. And when I was training intensely, just let me check one word in English. This is not the best, but okay. Split. So yeah, when I was doing gymnastics, I was trying to do the split with my legs, so be so elastic, because I saw my sister doing that, and I think it's not just the random sister; it's the topic of hers is very consistent. So I was doing gymnastics. So my fortune teller told me that I would break my legs. Or she told me that my lawyer's advice was the good advice, and he meant well for me, but my lawyer's advice was that maybe you could tell at the court that they don't write opinions they don't write opinions to sane people that they are sane, which was not true. So this was his advice, and Ivana's advice was to do what lawyers advised me to do, and what my best friends advised me to do, but they advised me different things to do. So therefore, I'm telling you that these people just come under the cover too, and they also sometimes are forced to act something out and to appear to be bad when they are not. They're always great, even when they try to do something. Well, what I want to tell you here is that they don't want to, but they just follow some rulers of adjusting your reality to your thoughts. So whatever you happen to think, then supposedly you manifest. But the truth is, to manifest truly something, it takes a lot of time and a lot of repetition. Although David Snyder would say, no, 12, or if you're happy, then you do it faster. Yeah, but it's not like you think something and it happens. But for occultists, okay. Anyway, if you want to explore my Piglet, if you want to read Piglet, Piglet is free till 28th of July. So drop me a line at lkinga788@gmail.com if you want to check out my course, Amelia, if you want to learn more about how identities of lesbians, gays, pedophiles, and transvestites are created, then check out my course. Check out the link in the description of the film. It's also on my website, on my Facebook and Instagram account. So if you like this video, like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.